Welcome back, everybody. We are back in classic Fender land with this Silverface Twin Reverb that has been rehoused into a tweed enclosure. We're going to have to fire this thing up and see what it does or doesn't do to get a evaluation, and then we'll open it up to see what's needed. So everything is working in terms of getting sound. The both channels are working okay. However, no tremolo, and also we seem to have some kind of scary microphonics going on. Oh, there we go. So we're going to check that out. Probably will power this down. Now, this could just be a microphonic tube. Could be a loose wire in there. We're going to have to open it up. Okay, chassis is out. Changed out the fuse. It had a 3 amp in there. I put in a 2.5 slow blow. Already seeing some interesting stuff. We can see there's a pretty major, like a tear in the chassis here, a crack from the power transformer. We also have, look at this, choke. It's just flat out loose. Output transformer is pretty loose. Okay. Some tubes that are probably okay. That one's pretty loose, but I mean, my guess going into this was microphonic tube. We have some RCAs for the preamp tubes. Decent chance. Actually, man, yeah, in all positions, we have RCAs. It could just be that one of these transformers being loose was enough to cause some kind of oscillation there. Let's see what we have under the hood here, though. For caps. Usually if you can knock on the chassis and get some noise like that, it is from, you know, that's a physical interaction causing an oscillation. So that can be a tube that's starting to fail internally. That can be a loose wire that's getting knocked into and out of place, or even not as gently as I was hitting it. I wouldn't suspect something like a cracked solder joint. Okay, been recapped. Major heat. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's zoom in a little bit here. Get you in there. Okay. We have seen some heat. Now, is that from a sloppy soldering iron? Or is that an issue of something to come? I see some heat shrink here. Let's make sure this guy is de-energized, and then we'll flip it over. Okay, it looks like they have 100 microfarad caps in place here, which is fine. Stock is 70. And as long as we're hitting the correct voltage there, which we are, 350 volts, which is the same as the stock. 22 microfarad for each of these position. Again, these are at 500 volts. Double check. They didn't change out the resistors, or if they did, they just replaced with carbon comps, which if you're going to do this, you may as well. Let's see. That looks like a 220, and that looks like a 220. Just making sure these aren't failed. You don't get a great reading across these when they're in parallel with the caps like that, but better than nothing. We got a 2.2K. This should be a 10K if it's reading correctly. Yeah, okay. Would have liked to have seen some silicone holding these in place. I may add something in there. This, though, is the more concerning part, which is kind of a shame because I've been looking for one of these early 70s twin reverbs. So I was thinking I would maybe even see if the owner was interested in selling this guy, but now I'm not so sure. I don't know if I want one with a busted chassis. Let's see what else is going on. I'll flip this over so we can take a look. Okay, so has this thing seen some kind of event? We have some grime in there. Not sure if that is full-on transformer failure. Oh, look at that too. This has like a locking position there. So somebody at some point tried to alleviate this issue. Our bias cap has been changed. It's interesting. One of the screen resistors has been changed, but not the others. We have a new cap here for the grounding of the, oh yeah, and on the trem. This is the grounding for the, is that for the trem or the reverb? The vibrato channel. So somebody's recapped the preamp side of this. Did not update the plate resistors, but they tried to tune up the vibrato, which is interesting because that is just flat out not working. We may just have a dead bug here. But this thing is pretty dang dirty. Now this, yeah, this is almost a candidate at this point for like being gutted and getting a new chassis and everything, depending on what the person wants to do. Okay. So at this point, I will need to, now we can check out whether or not we're getting a light for the vibrato to see if that is a dead bug. We can also measure across that. One side of this is a neon bulb. I think I've mistakenly on the channel called that an LED or something, but there's a neon bulb in there that then has a light dependent resistor on the other side. So you can test the vibrato by seeing if you get a changing rate across this, see if one side is, like if the bulb is turning on, but you're not sensing a change in resistance on the other side. There's an issue there. Could just be the tube too, there's a tube that's being used for the oscillator for this. Okay, so maybe we'll do some troubleshooting there. Try flicking some tubes and see if we get some oscillation or what's going on there. We'll tighten down the transformers and see what kind of progress we can make on this. Knocking out the easy stuff. So I've been digging around in this twin reverb a bit more. I did my initial voltage checks of the plates of all the tubes. Found that this last tube, which is the, should be the phase inverter, 12AT7, the plates only had, well, we can take a look at the schematic. So here's our schematic. You can see one of the plates should have 245 volts, the other should have 235. I was seeing like 82 volts on one of these points, and things would be lower since we're on the light bulb limiter, but not that low. I think it was 85 or 90 volts. This was last week for me, so don't remember exactly, but that's an issue. And I found that this resistor right here, which if we look at the layout, it's backwards, but that would be this guy, which is an 82K. So we can come back to here. That would be this one. And that resistor that should be 82K and reads as such. It's a gray, red, orange, which, let's see, is my calculator correct for that? Yeah, 82K. What does it read? Now, we should be able to measure this in circuit and get a good approximation. But we can see, even with our leg removed, we're getting closer to half a meg. So this is obviously bad, but then let's take a look right next to it. This should be, what, 100K? Yeah, this should be 100K. We're sitting at 132. This should be 220, 235. Now this isn't as far out of spec, especially for original carbon comps. But we move through, look at this guy. Should be an 820 ohm, 93 ohms. So there's something going on in here. Now this could be a case of, it may be hard to see, but something has definitely been spilled in here, or this has been exposed to moisture. Maybe this thing was sitting in a garage for a long time that didn't have proper ventilation. There is something going on here where this thing has, it could be that this transformer started to fail and the lamination was coming off. I've only seen that in a couple amps. But something has happened. These fiber boards, now this gets talked about a lot on other channels like Brad's Guitar Garage or Psionic Audio. They tend to go the full distance with these Fenders from this era that are in this kind of condition, pull the fiber board out, soak it in isopropyl, basically force all other contaminants out of it, let it dry, rebuild the entire board. You have to pull every single component off to do something like that. Or, you know, alternative route, pull all the components that you think are worthwhile, put them onto a new fiber or terminal strip or turret board, and basically rebuild the amp. That is pretty time consuming and costly. So I'm going to have to talk to, yeah, so like all of these 100K carbon comps are at about 20%. I'm going to have to talk to the owners of this amp to see what they want to do, because if we are going that distance with something like this, we would obviously want to replace the chassis as well, since it's got this giant crack with kind of a makeshift washer situation to hold things in place. But even then, the crack really extends out. This kind of seems like a good candidate as an amp that if someone was wanting to learn about building an amp, they could strip this thing and do what they can with it. But that being said, that's kind of not my call, because this isn't my amp. So we'll see what they say. I'm mostly going to, I wanted to post this video as a warning to, like, because this thing sounded okay when I plugged it in. If I was someone who was going to buy an amp, especially like if I was buying from someone online and in the moment was, you know, feeling pressure to not take my time, very easily could have gone, okay, it's, you know, faceplate's a little dirty, but it's an amp, turns on, makes sound, cool, vintage Fender, got a great deal. Only to then find out that this thing is, you know, pretty rough shape. So just a warning to always, if you're buying something online, get gut shots, make sure it is, you know, that there's no residue of spills or cracks or things like that. This really, the fiberboard, the more I'm looking at it, you know, the more I'm seeing, this really does look like left outside in an actual barn kind of scenario. But let me know if you've seen something similar. Let me know what you think. And it is funny because it has had recent service. You know, we could check the date code on those F&T caps for these Spragues. But I bet this thing was serviced not too long ago by somebody who got it up and running and then flipped it. But hopefully this helps somebody out from being in a similar situation. Don't spend your hard-earned money on something that is gonna that you're being misled on, I guess. Make sure that you get gut shots of your amps when you're going to buy them. And, you know, we'll see what happens. Maybe this will turn into a project for the channel if they want to work with me on that. Otherwise, we'll hope that it gets a second life from someone that wants to do the work. And as always, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.